Last month, we discussed several requirements that you all wanted to see this next version of Equalify. And my team from Decubing went away and built some wireframes that I wanted to show you before our July 6th meeting. So without further ado, let's check out some of the updates. So right now I'm showing a screen from our wireframe software called Miro. And I'm going to talk through everything I'm showing on screen. I know that some people aren't visual, so I want to make sure that this platform will be understood by everybody, even if they're not visual, even if they're using a screen reader. So everything I talk through here, or I show here, will be spoken through. And I'm going to kind of go through based off of the requirements that you all set. So the first major requirement was an easy to understand dashboard. And so what we've done is we have kind of wireframed out two main areas. We have the main dashboard that I'm showing on screen right now. And this main dashboard is what you would find when you just first went to Equalify. This dashboard would have some pinned reports, some recent messages, and a snapshot of your entire system. So a very high-level overview dashboard is what we're showing here. And I should also mention again that everything we're doing will be ready for people who use screen readers as well. So even though these wireframes are a little bit hard to communicate to people with screen readers, everything that we're doing in the next phases will all be kind of ready for people with screen readers. So beyond the dashboard, we're making reporting easier by doing a few other things. So every report, so here's a sample report. Every report will have editable widgets that you can go in and edit and update. So these editable widgets allow you to select various different types of displays. So I'm going to go over to as if we're editing a widget. So when we're editing a widget, we can decide if it's going to be a list widget, a chart widget, a timeline widget, or a score widget. All those different widgets are different ways of displaying the information. It's really important to note that we're pulling lots and lots of information, so these widgets will crunch a lot of information. And in the widget, you can decide if you want to show duplicates, exclude duplicates. You can set notification presets. You can decide what kind of status of the different messages you want to show. So you can show qualified messages, warnings, messages with no status at all. And once you've made those selections, they will appear in what I'm showing now, which is the single report. So on this report page, you just have two kind of placeholders plus a list. Another way we're making reporting a lot easier in this next version of Equalify is this visualize button. So every message, and we're not calling them issues now because a lot of things that accessibility pros see are not issues. They might be messages that a item has passed or an item has failed. So they're not necessarily issues. So these messages, some of them may be linked to actual HTML. And when they are linked to HTML, we can visualize them. So a user can then click the visualize button, and that would take them to what I'm showing on screen now, which is a page visualizer. And in the page visualizer, that would be a lot of tools already have this type of visualizer where you can go in and see where exactly the issues are related to the message. It would just visualize it very clearly on a page. So again, we have a list of issues, and some of the issues, the ones with HTML, have a button to visualize, and that would lead to a page visualizer. Now, all these reports can also be shared with anyone or kept private. So in the report settings, which I'm showing on right now, you have a few options. You have the option to share them with team members, allow team members to edit, or make it totally publicly accessible. So these are very similar settings that you would find in something like Google Docs, so you could really share the report with anybody that you want. Every report can also have a description on it, and of course every report will be named. And so again, the requirement that we create really highly shareable reports is all made through this new option of widgets, this new visualizer, and the new editorial controls that allow you to decide how much you share it. The other major piece that I wanted to showcase is manually adding tests. So one of the big things that I'm trying to push in this next release is that we aren't going to just do automated testing. We're going to support manual tests as well. And so the way that we mocked up how you would deal with manual tests in Equalify is that you would have a simple page that allowed you to put whatever message you want in. So you could say, fails color contrast and AAA standards or something like that. You could put in whatever message you want. You would put in the source URL, and then if you wanted to, you could put in a code snippet, and that code snippet can be built using that same visualizer. So again, if you're adding your manual information into Equalify, you would add in whatever message it is. You can add in a status, whether it's a warning or whatever you want. Add in a URL, and then add in a code snippet. And so you would add these messages into Equalify. The additional cool element, so I audit lots and lots of pages every single day, and it would be a pain in the neck to just have to write in a message over and over again. So what we're doing is we actually have something cool that allows you to set up messages. So you can bulk set up your own messages, and these messages would be here. It's in the settings area. You would go in and you would set any preset messages you want. And so I could theoretically have different messages about color contrast. I can have messages that are related to all the WCAG guidelines that can't be automatically tested. So all those preset messages could be put and stored in the back end so that when I went to go add in a message, it would be kind of a quick autocomplete thing. I could write in just contrast or contrast AA, and it would add in the messages. We've also added a bulk message upload. So if you don't want to use the Equalify UX and you're auditing sites and putting your information into a CSV or any kind of table, we could upload all of those messages into Equalify. So all those messages would then come into Equalify, and they would be dealt with in the same way that any automated message is. It would just be kind of appear in the reports next to the automated message. The automated message would have their own kind of labels, but you can then update any manual message you want. So again, manual testing is really, really important in this next version. It's like one of the key features that I want to push very hard for. And to do that, we've included this manual piece that allows you to add messages, whatever messages you want, and also have an autocomplete around those messages. The third key requirement that I want to talk about a little bit is the connections. So I've heard over the years a lot of discussion around how we can do things with Jira, GitHub, and Slack. And so, it would be great to have in the next version of Equalify a quick way to connect with Jira, GitHub, and Slack. And then within those connections, Jira, GitHub, or Slack would deal with the updates however those platforms dealt with them. So for instance, in Jira, you can add like a time to fix with the message information. You can select different types of messages. So the idea is that these are integrations that are handled by the connections themselves, by Jira, by GitHub, and it's really allowing you to use Equalify with these other services. It's a key component. We'll need to figure out kind of exactly what it would mean for each user, or maybe development teams would create their own. We don't really know that yet. The key aspect, though, is that we would have some connection to Jira, we'd have some connection to GitHub, we would have some connection to Slack, and any other connections that folks want. The final kind of major piece that I wanted to talk about was the crawler. So Crawling has been a requested feature for a bit, and we've done a lot of exploratory work on crawling. And so in this version, we've mocked up of having crawl as another scan type. So we have XML, which we already have, WordPress, no crawl at all, which would just be just scan the single URL, and then crawl. And crawl would use this new open source crawler that we've been working on with folks at Civic Actions. I'm super excited to introduce. And so it'll just be another scan type that is within the system. So again, let me just kind of go over the major pieces. We have very shareable reports with widgets that you can edit and make into a report of your dreams. A visualize button that allows you to visualize any message that has a code snippet attached to it. We also have the manual automation, the manual testing component, which allows you to add in any message you want, and then an autocomplete for those messages, so you can really quickly create new messages in Equalify and also upload as many messages as you want. And then we have the connections that will allow you to connect to Jira, GitHub, Slack, or whatever we think is necessary. And finally, we have a crawler. So reporting, manual messaging, connections, and crawler. I hope this covers everything. I will share the link to this board in the YouTube description and also wherever I share this video. And let me know if you want to be part of the next version of our Braintrust. It's going to be July 6th, and you can feel free to reach out to me, blake@decubing.com. If you have any questions at all, I'm here for you. Thank you so much.